mastery of circuit design or object-oriented programming, and that might be ideal if that's what you want them to do. Other indications are if they're curious, if they like to read, if they're adaptable, and if they seek out new types of experiences. The leader's behavior affects the culture, of course, and the values of the organization. And these types of things show up as to whether or not there's a tolerance of risk, if there's a tolerance or not of failure, and we've already seen that these are characteristics of creativity. It also shows up to whether or not there's a culture of trust, and whether or not there's an environment of advocacy or inquiry. Advocacy is a type of environment that you would expect in the legal system, and it's where people strongly advocate their positions. Inquiry is one where they work together to inquire about problems and their solutions. Companies kind of fall in between somewhere within that spectrum, and I suspect that if it's more towards inquiry, that may tend to be a more creative type of environment. How a leader interacts shows up in their leadership styles. There's a really good book by Daniel Goldman called Primal Leadership that deals with these type of leadership styles. There could be a elaborate discussion on that. But the bottom line is this is situational leadership. You want to act in a way that's appropriate for the situation. And for creativity, that essentially means that you want to not use pace setting and commanding type of leadership styles too much. And that's something you can look up on the blog too. This is some creativity killers. This is basically bad management practices. The other slide that dealt with characteristics of creativity, you can pretty much convert those to see some other things that might inhibit creativity. Last couple of slides deal with actual techniques. This one is on notebooks. I'm really looking forward to Nicholas's discussion here. There are different types of notebooks. I use a little one, carry that with me when I'm on a walk, a restaurant or something. I like your little picture for visual recording. And of course, you've got the standard 8.5 by 11. That's my official notebook. And you were talking about notebooks that are appropriate for inventions, so you can use this to have witnesses sign and date drawings and such, and you can prove that you're the first to invent an invention if that should have to come up. This shows a variety of ways to use a notebook. Notebooks are really excellent memory, productivity, and creativity tool, and you can use them for all other creativity techniques. Brainstorming is a well-known technique that was developed by a guy named Alex Osborne in the 1940s. It is used to expand the number of choices to choose from. You do not use brainstorming to quickly come to a decision. Brainstorming is a process that separates the creative act of inventing from the critical act of deciding. The main point about brainstorming is that judgment is deferred. Brainstorming proceeds in 3 phases. The first phase, you defer judgment. You want a great quantity of ideas, and the idea is that quantity breeds quality. There's no criticism of ideas. And then in the second phase of brainstorming, judgment is turned back on. You weed out the bad ideas, you further develop the better ideas, and in the last phase, you actually select one of the ideas where you choose a course of action. Mind mapping is a drawing technique that's used to capture ideas and their relationships. It's very simple to do. There's really no formal process of mind mapping. All you need to do is write your notebook, write down your main topic in the center of the page. You can use words, drawings, you can use pictures, and then you do that with all the other ideas that come to mind, and you connect them to the other ideas that inspired those ideas. You do not start out with the preconceived hierarchies or frameworks, but natural hierarchies and frameworks may evolve as you do your drawing. And for mind mapping, you may go through many different iterations. You may try regrouping the ideas until you're happy with that. There's a couple of good free tools, XMind and FreeMind. Those are really good. I've used both of them. They have some good features where you can use different colors. You can put in pictures into a bubble. You can attach notes and URLs. And mind mapping is a really good tool to use in brainstorming. This is just a simple example. This is a mind map I drew on my podcast episode on mind map. point here is that it's very easy to do. There's nothing fancy. It can be as complex or simple as you need. And you just open up your new book and start drawing. There are other drawing techniques. For the software engineers out there, you may already be familiar with the Unified Modeling Language. The UML is just it's a set of drawing techniques to look at software in different ways. Michalko writes about other drawing techniques like fishbone, system mapping, and force field analysis. And of course, you don't have to use any preconceived drawing technique. You make up your own. You just draw whatever you need. Even simple stick figure diagrams can help you get more creative out of your subject. The last slide here is on Scamper. Scamper is a well-known technique, also originally developed by Alex Osborne and later refined by Robert E. Burrow. It's an acronym, and you can see what it stands for there on the left side of the table. It's very simple to use, also a great tool to use in brainstorming. You start out by isolating your subject, stating the problem you want solved or the idea you're trying to develop. And Scamper is a really good tool to use for manipulating an object in a lot of different ways. That could be a product, a process, a service. And so you isolate your subject, and then you just go through the list. You know, how many ways can we substitute something? What can be combined? What can be adapted? What can be made larger, smaller, modified? How can you put that subject to different uses? What can be eliminated? What can be reversed or rearranged? This slide lists a number of ideas you can think of. Is that because of my computer?
You gotta put another quarter in there.
Well, that's the last slide anyway. So anyway, there was a number of things that you could think about in that slide, but it was limited because of space. On my website, there's a lot more things to think about, but of course, something like that is never complete. I'm sure you can think of other ways to manipulate your object. And I did put an audio recording of this presentation in the PowerPoint slide on my website, so if that's of interest to you.
Can we link to that on ours?
Sure.
Great. Scott,